How do you do? Regrettable, I know. Father, when they moved, not as much. I hideous. Nice. It's hard to find good help. I can worry about. Very well. The Ambrose family comes from old. If there's anything else. If Mother and I share chemistry. Ah, yes. I've scanned her old log. If you have any questions, you can trust. Lucian was Mother's point of contact at Spacer's Choice. I'd call him high-ranking, but I don't think his job had a rank in the traditional sense. He once tried to recruit me to work on Gorgon, but of course Mother wouldn't hear of it. I never forgave her for that. A little bit of everything, I suppose. Manage personnel, keep an eye on budgets, see that goals and expectations were well defined. Chemistry may be my passion, but Spacer's Choice recognized my knack for administration. I would have taken the job and perhaps even enjoyed it. And risk losing one of the colony's greatest minds to Auntie Cleo? I think not. No. In their estimate, I'm certain Mother was worth 10 of me. They did the math, and I came up short. Did anything else in Mother's terminal glue your eyes to the screen? Of all the intrigue and mystery surrounding my household, that is what interests you. I do enjoy painting. I haven't indulged in some time, but it's a pleasant enough diversion. I honestly don't think I've been at it long enough to have a style. Painting is something I enjoy on the side, not something I chase to perfection. We Ambrose ladies have a way of ruining the things we love by committing ourselves to them. I've always been partial to Truth Emerging from the Well to Shame Mankind by Jerome. That painting speaks to me. It shows how nothing stays hidden for long. Your curiosity is charming, but do remember to focus on the job at hand. You do that, and thanks for your attention to detail. A goodbye recording? I don't understand. Law, but I think you're right. Mother left that phonograph because she knew something awful might happen to her. She knew Spacer's Choice wanted her silence. Agreed. This is but a corner of the jigsaw puzzle, and we don't yet see the full picture. We have to find that journal, Captain. And when we do, Spacer's Choice will rue the day they crossed my family. Yes? Someone's been snooping around. Not that I mind. It reminds me why I hired you in the first place. For your keen eyes and scandalous disregard for privacy. When I left home, I wanted Mother and Father to know the conditions of my return. I would stroll through the entrance with my head held high, or not at all. I left this place with every intention of returning once the time was right. When I arrived, I was the toast of the town. All fought for the honor of lighting my cigarettes. The attention was sublime. I opened a small firm to help young, impressionable heirs manage their family wealth. Business was good. For a while. Gorgon happened. With Mother's downfall, so too fell my influence in society. I sold the business at a loss. Then I hatched a plan to restore the family name. That plan, as you're now well aware, is still in motion. Yes, that wasn't part of the plan. Fall of Gorgon accelerated my schedule. I thought I would find success in Byzantium. Instead, I must look for redemption back where I began. Here, in these vacant halls. You reminded me of better times. I should be thanking you. Ask anything you like, Captain. It's nice to have a competent partner for a change. I've told you everything I know. I trust you to investigate Gorgon and draw your own conclusions. If you can think of anything specific, all you have to do is ask. Of course, my dear Captain. I look forward to it. Be sure and close the door on your way out. I feel a draft.
Query. Are you upside down?
I could probably spend years I hope we can help Miss Minnie uncover what happened to her mother. I wouldn't wish the pain of not knowing on hardly anyone. I don't want to be mean, Captain, but I can't help wondering if Miss Minnie is telling us the whole story about Gorgon. Her mother worked there for years and years, and she doesn't know hardly the first thing about it? It seems fishy. And in the serials, mysteries always got a twist. Well, Virginia Yang, that girl detective, she'd say to check your theories at the door. Just look at the facts and follow the clues. Me? I just want to fix what's been broke.
Something on your mind? You know I've got no love for top rungers, but if Minnie's willing to pay, I say we take her money. Sure. Something...
Good to see you, boss. There's something kind of sad about Ambrose Manor. Minnie Ambrose. She's like something out of the pictures. The way she talks, the way she holds that whiskey glass. She's got, you know, presence. And charisma. Cause you're my boss? Besides, I start talking about you the way I talk about Miss Ambrose, and Ada's gonna kill me in my sleep. Hey, by the way, I wanted to ask you about this journal we're hunting down. What do you think is in it? Corporate secrets? Map to some buried treasure, maybe? The last will and testament of Miss Ambrose's late mother? You're talking about Max, ain't you? I heard he had a meltdown over some journal you found in Emerald Vale. Wish I was there to see it. I guess whatever's in those pages, it's for Miss Ambrose to find out. I just hope she gets some closure.
Hey, shut'll get off the pot, damn it. Are you listening in there? You can't be hogging the facilities for 40 damn minutes. You ought to see Ellie. You got a condition or something.
Battery levels are fully charged.
Hey, Cap. Something ain't right here, Captain. We ought to tread carefully. All this cloak and dagger for a journal? I ain't buying it. Yeah, the whole thing stinks of a cover-up. I'm used to folks leaving their messes behind for all the colony to see. Hell, look at Monarch. So imagine what they'd actually be trying to hide. Captain, it's gonna be bad. I know. We've seen our fair share of awful in this colony, that's for damn sure. Alls I'm saying is, be careful. Something feels different about this one.
As always, I am at your disposal. Anything... Perhaps it's just my judicious nature, but I think we should be careful if we're following up on this lucky fellow's message. I've always felt caution as the... He sounded lost. He just...
We are now in orbit above Gorgon. Welcome back. See you soon. Take someone to watch your back, please.
I don't know what kind of mess Spacer's Choice made here, but it figures they'd leave it to someone else to clean up.
Please be informed that emergency evacuation protocol is currently in progress.
Something made a mess of this place. Watch your back, boss.
sight. I got supplies if you need them. No one lasts long on Gorgon unprepared. Is that what my thoughts sound like? Law, I've been standing near that alarm too long. You looking for supplies, stranger? Let's stock up here. If you run low on bullets out in Gorgon's far reaches, there ain't no one round here liable to help you out. Let me know if you're looking for something particular. You mean you came out to this asteroid without knowing nothing about it? Me too. Heard it was wild here and couldn't resist. Trouble is, if you wander off to somewhere you oughtn't be, like way out in Gorgon's farthest reaches, odds are slimmer of your bits finding their way to my pockets. If you want my advice, stick close to the Sprat Shack, unless you fancy having your limbs torn off and eaten. You okay? Does your stomach hurt or something? Look, I ain't stopping you from wandering elsewhere. But if you do, be sure you watch out for the Marauders. That's the #1 thing. And the Mance, I guess. You watch out for Marauders, Mance, and Charles from accounting, and you'll probably be fine. Only the meanest Marauder on Gorgon, and also anywhere else. That man is crazier than a bag of canids and twice as likely to bite. He will bust your head open like an overripe mock apple if he so much as sees you. I ain't joking. He'll snap you in half like stale bread noodles. Sorry. Been a minute since I last ate. Charles from accounting is like... Imagine if you took 3 of the most howling mad marauders you could find and mashed them together. That's Charles.
It is? Wow. You learn something new every day.
You ain't listening to me, huh? Well, I warned you. If you run off and get exploded to death by a madman with a rocket launcher now, that's on you. Sure, okay. He's got a rocket launcher. Couldn't say. He kills anyone who gets close enough to ask. Look, long story short, you do not fuck with Chuck. Best to avoid the Marauder camp entirely. That's my 2 bits on the matter. Huh? Oh, you don't gotta worry about that. Something to do with that scrap Project Gorgon from years back. Thanks for turning it off, by the way. I'd have lost my mind if the damn thing had gone on much longer. I thought that alarm was gonna bang on for the rest of time. The control terminal wouldn't listen to physical persuasion. I know, cause even Von Hoffman couldn't bash it in. And I seen that tough son of a gun throw man clean across the Sprat Shack one time like he were a toss ball. Only that Spacer's Choice shut it down in a big hurry. From what I heard, some of their folks got left behind even. Don't seem like the project ended well. Yeah? The Marauder camp way out to the east. That's what I heard, at least. And I sure hope you're asking so you can keep a safe distance away. Yeah? His name is Charles and he used to work in accounting? Anything else you needed? Found a pickaxe in the mine like none I've ever seen before. Could be awful useful if you're the violent type.
Energy efficiency is its own reward.
Come here. Let's have a chat. All right, inspection time. Look at my eyes for as long as you can without blinking. Starting now. Good. Look up. Now look down. You're doing swell. Now, name and occupation. I could do without the sass, but that's good enough. You're cleared. That was a sanity check. If you had changed like the others, it'd be in your eyes. You'd also be drooling, cursing, and making a mess of the place. Welcome to the Sprat Shack. You can head on downstairs. Every day, salvagers and scrappers set out to comb the ruins and make their fortune. The ones who come back, they aren't always the same men or women who left. They change. Never for the better. First, they get real twitchy and paranoid, shouting at folks who aren't there. Then they smell like they soiled themselves, on account of how they soiled themselves. After that, they're gone. Nothing but animals wearing human skin. Seen it happen myself. It's never pretty. This is the Sprat Shack, the most remote watering hole in the system. Rule number 1, no fighting. Rule number 2, wipe your feet on the way downstairs. We're the only hospitable place on this rock. I want to keep it that way. That's why we have rule number 3. When people change, they stay outside, where they belong. Just don't ask me to dance. Something bad happened here. Spacer's Choice was developing chemicals. The kind with nasty side effects.
Can this colony have one research facility developing something without horrible, face-melting side effects? Is that so much to ask?
Marauders outnumber the rest of us 10 to 1. Either they came from Gorgon, or something draws them here. I don't know which is worse. This place is under a dark cloud, stranger. That's all I know. If you want the history of the Sprat Shack, talk to Lex behind the bar. This is a sublight bar, so most of our regulars come to plunder the old labs. The facility's locked up behind miles of red tape, so progress is slow. A lot of time to drink and reevaluate, then venture out and try again. Bouncer, bodyguard, law enforcer. I make sure the Sprat Shack gets only the highest caliber of clientele.
And I thought this place was gonna be fun.
Highest caliber of what? Is he talking about guns?
We get a lot of brand-loyal corporate types, and a lot of cutthroat freelancer types. Both sides have their share of dirty scoundrels. And I hate dirt. Watch yourself out there.
Smell that? Cheap whiskey and stale cigarettes. My kind of place.
Now this looks like a real dive. Hey, I wonder if they got those floorboards that creak when a stranger walks in.
Are you my agent on the ground?
Sorry?
I've been sent to meet a certain someone about a certain piece of merchandise. They're supposed to use a secret code phrase.
Can't help you. I'm just here to drink.
That's the code phrase. It is you.
Quiet down. You're making a scene. Did you bring the payment?
I don't know. Did you bring the goods?
No payment, no goods.
Just so I know it.
Welcome to the Sprat Shack. First one's on the house, and I won't even water it down. What'll it be? Bottoms up. I assume you're here for salvage. Even if I did, I ain't supposed to play favorites. Most of my regulars are sublight scavengers. They pick over the ruins of Gorgon, spend their earnings at the bar, and head back out the next day. Vicious cycle, but that's life. You're the first new face I've seen in a while. Spacer's Choice used to brew pharmaceuticals in these parts. That's why the asteroid smells like an old gym sock. They say Adrenatime came from here, just down the road at the old R&D lab. Very hush-hush back in the day. I doubt anyone knows the full story. One day the evacuation order went out. Grunts and lab coats scrambled to get anywhere but Gorgon. And the weirdest thing of all, Adrenatime still hit the market. Me, I never touched the stuff. To each their own, but I think it's dangerous. Damn right we are. We've got drugs, scrap metal, prototype weapons, drugs, money, and more drugs. When Spacer's Choice evacuated, everyone dropped their gear and ran. Most of it stayed where it fell, and all of it is up for grabs. Of course, the real treasure is whatever's locked up in the old facility. Until someone figures a way to crack it open, we're just sifting through dirt. Lucky. Sure, I knew him. He could get a little dramatic at times, but he was a good guy. Heard he took on a dangerous job. Spent a lot of time coming and going from the Office of Creative Incubation, just down the road. That's where the top rungers at Spacer's Choice came up with slogans and marketing. Lucky never told me why it was so important. Awful shame about what happened to him. You really want to hear my story? Law, most everyone around here is sick to death of it by now. Last I saw of Lucky was a few days ago. I went outside for a smoke and a stroll, and I saw this wild canid dragging a bloody limb. So I kicked the canid, scared it off. Get this, the canid was chewing on an honest-to-law human arm. Lucky's arm. I'm a bartender. Attention to detail is my middle name. Anyway, the arm was clutching a phonograph that mentioned someone named Alex Hawthorne. I did some poking around, and this Hawthorne has a reputation among the salvagers who frequent the bar. So I packaged up the arm nice and tidy and sent it care of the Halcyon Parcel Service. They even gave me a discount on the hazardous waste removal stamp. No kidding. And now you're here? Colony feels smaller than you'd think some days. I'm glad I was here to see this confluence of events, you know? The stars really aligned on this one. And here I am, smack dab in the middle. I figured Hawthorne would want to know what happened to his pal. Help Lucky get his affairs in order, you know. Oh, I hate to see people go with unfinished business. 3rd floor. Once I figured he wasn't coming back to pay his tab, I left his room unlocked to air it out. You can help yourself to anything you left behind. fair warning, I've been letting the regulars use it for a quick lie down. Just wash your hands when you're done. Trust me. Spacer's Choice used to... Roscoe might tell you more. He spent some time around here before the bar opened up, and I trust him well enough. There's always Leonora, my favorite customer over in the storage room on the second floor. Keeps to herself and always closes out her tab. He's been here since opening day. I think he told me he was some kind of journalist. He got left behind when Spacer's Choice pulled out. And I guess no one's coming to get him. He didn't tell me and I didn't ask. I'm his bartender, not his human resources rep. If you believe the chatter, a lot of good folks got left behind, and a lot of bad folks made it out. Sometimes that's all there is to it. Roscoe's drinks are on the house. We all know how it feels to get left behind. He'll be all right. He's with the family now, and we take care of our own. Nice lady. Been coming around a lot these past few months. She isn't with Sublight, but seems to know the lay of the land better than anyone. She spends most of her days drinking alone. I think she's looking to hire someone, if you're open to a side gig. Now that you mention it, I thought I saw those two sharing stories over a pint. Didn't think twice about it. I don't speak ill of the dead, but Leonora deserves better company. That Lucky was no good for her. What are friends for, eh? You got it, bub. Yes and no. The Sprat Shack used to be a shipping and receiving warehouse during the old Project Gorgon days. When Spacer's Choice pulled their guys off-world, Sublight moved in to salvage what we could, and they put me in charge. Yes and no. Rumor has it there's a Sprat wandering around the Groundbreaker, and he's the legal owner of the Sprat Shack. Hagen's idea. See, Hagen didn't want a paper trail that led back to her, so she gave the bar to the Sprat. If there were any legal problems with this place, the Sprat would do the time.
You know, they do something similar in Byzantium. Fancier system, but same idea.
Hey, Sprats can be real dangerous. I once saw a Sprat cross a guy off. Well, not exactly. Guy I worked with choked on a Sprat bone while he was having his usual salt tuna for lunch.
Anyway, that's what the paperwork says. I don't make the rules. Easy. His name's Matt. The beautiful thing is, no one could tell Matt Sprat apart from an ordinary vermin. I think that's kind of the point, to send the authorities on a wild Sprat chase. Never thought about that. Shit, someone could have eaten my boss. As far as business arrangements go, this one's a head-scratcher, but they say it's all above board, so that's what matters. Yes and no. We're doing a lot more than squatting. We're classing up the joint, keeping the riffraff outside where it belongs. They didn't even serve drinks until I arrived. Talk about wasted potential. Yes. And no. Again, that one was Hagen's idea. She told me that speaking in vague terms keeps you out of trouble. And I don't want any trouble in my place. Thirsty people come and go from all over the colony. Mostly on the way to somewhere better. Some are well-connected. And not everyone pays with bits. That's how we get the unconventional goods anyhow. Sublight keeps us well-stocked with the essentials. By which I mean booze. Or maybe a sugar sprat pie? Damn it. We're out of those.
You're a humbug, Trixie, and worse, a thief.
I can't steal what's lawfully mine, you tangle-footed dimwit.
Break it up, you two. I've heard more than enough of your shit for one day.
That was my salvage, Trixie. You had no right to it then, and you've no right to it now. A disagreement between professionals. None of your business.
I risked my life sneaking around Marauders to claim that wreck. And I didn't see your name on it.
Now you've done it. Eat fist!
All right, that's enough! This is a family establishment! You want to make a mess? You make it outside!
But this was personal, Lex. It's a question of salvage. That wreck was gonna make me a fortune.
It's the same fight every day. 5 years we've been at this, and we still can't agree on how to properly tag salvage. Now you two listen, this is my place. While you're in the Sprat Shack, you'll sit quietly, or I'll forbid you to come here at all. Is that understood?
Fair's fair. I'll have a stout, and we'll settle this later on our own terms.
It's no good to leave a fight unresolved. If I don't do something, these two are gonna be at each other's throats. You do that for me? I appreciate it all the same. You'll be paid for your time and expertise, of course. Freddy, Trixie, go on and make your case to the generous stranger.
I'll start, seeing as I'm the one who's been most wronged in this equation. Oh, very formal. Freddy the Scab, freelancer for sublight salvage and shipping, same as my father before me.
Junkyard Trixie. Also a salvage freelancer. Though, I've been at it longer than Freddy.
So, just up the road and due east of here, there's a shipwreck lodged in the mountainside, right? I staked my claim on that wreck. Then I wandered in for a drink. An hour later, Trixie swaggers in bragging about her salvage. Ugh, the nerve of some people. I climbed on top of it and called out in my loudest voice, "Finders keepers!"
I don't know about legal, but it's legit by sublight standards. Assuming anyone was around to hear it, which we can't know for sure.
Someone must have heard me. They just ain't brave enough to step forward and admit it. What if I were to sweeten the deal? Say the salvage is mine, and I'll give you a share of the finder's fee.
Bullshit. That ain't fair. When I found the shipwreck, there were no salvage mark. See, the whole area was teeming with bloodthirsty marauders. So I snuck around and added my tag, clear as day so no drunken idiots could claim the salvage out from under me, Freddy.
For the record, when I heard the marauders coming, I left. Trixie must have set her mark down after me.
Quit leading the prosecution, Hullhead. Anyway, that's my story, ma'am. I drew next in the dirt, with my toe. Wouldn't surprise me in the least, but that doesn't mean it ain't mine.
In all my years, I've never heard a more contentious argument. I don't envy your shoulders for bearing the weight of responsibility. You've heard it from them both. So, who gets the salvage?
That ain't no kind of fair.
She ain't even from around here, Lex.
Here's a 6-pack on the house, plus your fee. Maybe now we'll finally get some peace around here for a change. A little too often, if you ask me, but that's the sublight way. Anything worth doing is worth fighting over. Come and chat if you're ever feeling thirsty.
Oh, boss. I was hoping for a scuffle. I had a bottle ready and everything.
We could always go back and rile him up again later.
What are you looking at?
Gonna puke. Nope. No, it went down. False alarm.
I was here before they shut the project down. Started drinking just so I could sleep at night. You have to tell him. Zero G Brew is made of alien milk. What was her name again? Ambrose. Turtle milk was the glare of that one.
Groundbreaker never had bars this nice. They got balconies and everything.
I wouldn't get too close to that railing, just in case. Jerome would have loved this place.
You here for salvage or merchandise?
You don't look like one of the salvagers, no? Don't really seem like the type. You've got the look of someone who's traveled far to get here and whose journey is far from over. Confidence. The scavengers around here, they're faking it. You're the real deal. I don't know if you're bound for the old ruins, but in case you are, can you look into something? I'd do it myself, but of course, the Marauders would eat me alive. Not for long. Looking for something out there. Been paying Sublight to help me, but they haven't made much progress. It is to me, but apparently it's junk to Sublight. My husband and I worked on Gorgon during the good times. Jerome was on maintenance duty. I cleaned out test tubes till they sparkled. Nowhere good, that's for sure. In his final hours, Gorgon was a war zone. Violence broke out in the labs. The hills were full of marauders. You couldn't take a leisurely stroll without an armed escort. When the order came through to evacuate, non-essential personnel drew a lottery to see who would board the first wave of ships. Jerome won. I lost. As soon as I wasn't looking, Jerome switched our tickets and pushed me to the front of the line. I got to leave. Jerome stayed behind. I never saw him again. A broken heart, that's what. This place is greedy. It took my Jerome, and it would have taken me too. I just want one thing back. His old hip flask. I gave it to him the day we signed our marriage contract, and he carried it wherever he went. I know it's still here. No point in denying it, he died on this rock. Likely torn apart by marauders, unless he took care of himself on his own terms. I don't like to imagine what happened, but I know I have to accept it. I appreciate it, stranger. I don't expect you to move the stars. Just keep an eye out and think of me from time to time. I don't have much, but if you help me, there's a little set aside for the occasion. Jerome used to drink with his buddies in a small kitchen opposite the maintenance shed. Might be a good place to check first. Yeah? The lab coats kept quiet about the project, but the air was charged with excitement. You could feel it wherever you went. They wanted to change the world. A tenfold boost to worker productivity with no side effects? Who wouldn't salivate at the thought? I don't know what went wrong, but when the shit hit the fan, it sprayed everyone in its path, including me. That old flirt? Yeah, I let him buy me a drink or two. He talked my ear off about exciting jobs he'd done. All lies, I'm sure. He fell asleep with his head on my shoulder. That man had baggage like you wouldn't believe. I didn't think anyone could be lonelier than me. He put on quite a front, but I think he was weary. Like he'd seen too much and had too little to show for it. Guess we were kindred spirits in a way. He bragged about having the key to some sort of maintenance area in one of the old buildings. I never saw it, so I just assumed he was talking himself up. He also asked if I wanted to see something gross and slimy he kept in his room, but I declined, politely. Sure thing. My condolences if you two were close.
Huh, who's this now? Wonder if they could... Nah, who am I kidding? Holy shit, a fresh face. Haven't seen your like in years. Don't know what brought you to the most dangerous corner of this solar system, pal, but you're welcome here. Oh, you talked to Lex yet? She tell you to keep it civil? You wouldn't guess to talk to her, but that lady's got a mean left hook. Some kind. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Got into reporting thinking I was gonna be some sort of public intellectual. What a joke. Spent 95% of my time playing stenographer to the board, and the rest writing puff pieces on the chairman's latest beard trim. Real life and death shit. Hell, how much time do you have? I probably know more about this shit heap than most of the corpses around here. Got anything specific you want to know? Oh, this is rich. You mean Dr. Olivia Ambrose, God Empress of Gorgon? She's the maniac who ran this whole sideshow. Ran it right into the fucking ground. Hell, I wouldn't be kicking my heels in this dead-end graveyard if it weren't for her. At least she's buried here with me. That's the least she deserves. I don't know just about anything for a fact anymore. You ask me, there's no such thing as facts. So did I see her die with my own 2 eyeballs? No. But I'll tell you what. During the evacuation, folks either got out or got killed. And Leonara's the only one I'm sure still kicking. You're on the hunt for her big book of secrets, huh? Lucky was, too. Poor bastard. She used to leave it on the desk between us during interviews. She'd open it up sometimes, take notes, give me a mean look. Bet you all the bits in Byzantium it's in her office. Never saw it leave that room, not once. Top floor of synthesis and manufacturing, huddled up against her precious drug synthesizer. Got a perfect view of all her little peons scrabbling in the dirt way down below. Just how she liked it. She was Gorgon's director. Aside from that, sweet fuck all. Never met a more difficult interview subject. She had this way of answering questions. Wouldn't tell you anything straight, would always turn it back around on you. Just about did my head in, like I was trying to chat with my estranged sister or something. Shit, who didn't? The staff who weren't dead afraid of Olivia hated her guts. She caught a spy in the chem lab once. Nice guy named Herbert. Everyone loved him. Rumor was she killed him herself. Tell you what, though, her little terror campaign worked. Couldn't tease a single secret out of the staff after that. Nice enough guy. Fashioned himself one of those professional gumshoes, like in the serials. They usually work for the board, rooting out dissidents and the like. Lucky, though, he was freelance. Worked for anyone who paid, no matter their allegiance. You ask me, I think the guy just liked snooping around in folks' terminal messages. Next to nothing. He preferred to keep a tight lid on things, more dramatic that way. Not that he needed to keep secrets. Folks down here don't give 2 shits about anything but bits and beer. Been a long time since someone tried to butter me up. Can't say I hate it. So sometimes Lucky'd get deep in his cups and start going on about the ghost of Gorgon. But I didn't think anything of it. Guy also liked to say he could pop the cyst off a cysty pig at 100 paces with his eyes closed. No shit. And you'll be trying to get into synthesis and manufacturing, I reckon. Lucky'd been trying to crack that nut for a while. Supposed to be locked up tight. He didn't. I mean, nothing substantial. Just that he was after Olivia Ambrose's old journal, same as you. Breaking and entering isn't my area of expertise. Got writerly hands and a cowardly disposition. You could check Lucky's room. He was up on the 3rd floor. Might be he left you some clues. Frenetic, chaotic, vicious. Take your pick. I wasn't here at the start, but going off what folks told me about the early days, Gorgon started out with promise. Thing is, the schedules coming out of the corporate office were unrealistic from the get-go, and they were trying to do the project on a shoestring budget. Couple that with the obvious personnel problems and toxic junk in the product, it was only a matter of time before it all went to hell. Adrenatime, I'm sure you know it, was a drug, something to make folks work harder, work smarter. Had a lot of nasty side effects. Didn't seem so bad to me at the time, but then I hadn't met the test subjects yet. The whole thing was real hush-hush. A lot of worry about corporate spies, especially from Anti-Cleos. I probably shouldn't even be mentioning it to you, to be honest. Spacer's Choice, they're really not fond of spies. Not much, except that there was a whole gaggle of them, and so far as I could tell, they absolutely hated each other. Dr. Ambrose would hardly let me speak to any of them, but she complained about him all the time. Everything seemed like. Marion Blakesley, for example, lady who ran HIA, wouldn't return any of her messages. Not once, for years. Jasper Lowe, guy who headed up Chem, was high more than he was sober. He insisted on running special tests on primals, too. Law knows what for. Dr. Ambrose really had it out for this guy Lawrence Goodfellow. Ran OCI. Would lose his shit if he saw red on a schedule. By the end, I heard folks were turning in completely bunk progress reports just to keep him out of their hair. Had this little minion, too. An actuary named Clarence Mosley. Obsessed with quantifying every detail of his sad little life. Mosley was the guy who got me mixed up in all this. Asshole. I hope a primal ate him. Oh yeah, it wasn't just that Dr. Ambrose hated them. They seemed to hate each other, too. OCI pushed a ludicrous schedule. Chem made a bad product, and HIA returned garbage results. A regular merry-go-round of shit flying in every direction. It's no surprise it all fell apart.
This fella just described the entire colony.
Sounds like half the crews I run with. Not this one, of course.
Editor always did say my prose was a bit purple. Or brown, in this case. Going on 7 blissful years here in paradise. 2 years before it went to shit, and 5 years since. 2,743 joyous days. But hey, who's counting?